Welcome back to Theoretical Nonsense. Today we're going to be discussing Season 4, Episode 20, The Herb Garden Germination. And on today's episode, we'll be discussing the uncertainty principle, Robin Dunbar and Dunbar's number, K-Mart Bourbon, a train of thought, and meme theory. Stay tuned. Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot,
Make yourself a grasshopper,
and enjoy the ride. Hello there, Ryan.
Hey Rob, how's it going?
Amazing, because we're here to talk about the Herb Garden Germination. Great episode.
I like this episode.
I like this one.
it may not be my favorite, but it is a strong, solid episode. Definitely not filler in any way, shape, or form. Some solid character. And their side characters, Howard and Bernadette, but and it brings so much like what's going to happen next. It gets me wanting to watch more. Loved it.
Did you think that she was going to say yes?
I did not. I really didn't. Wow.
Such a shocker. And
right?
I feel like the first time I watched it too, I didn't think that she was going to say yes either, because it's like they have such a, I don't want to say, okay, it's not a terrible relationship, but like when Penny said she could do better, we all as an audience agreed to that.
And I've been telling you my thoughts are that she's going to break up with him and get with Raj. And I thought that was going to be a thing. And I thought that this season finale was probably going to be them breaking up. Next season would be with her with Raj. And maybe, I don't know what's going to happen, but that blew me for a fucking loop. I was like, yes, wow. And I love that in television or stories where they circumvent your expectations, where they're like, everybody thinks she's going to be breaking up, and bam, surprise you, and you're like, where is this going to go next?
I know. Shocker to us all. Shocker to everyone. Poor Raj.
Poor Raj.
But he will find his way somehow.
Somehow.
But I'm very excited to talk about this episode. But before we dive in, a little bit of housekeeping. We have an email at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. Write us an email and we'll read it out loud. We love the engagement. And speaking of that, we actually have 2 new emails. So we have one good and one not so good. So I'm actually going to start with the not so good one, just because it's kind of geared at me. So, and
It's
then
both
Ryan
of
will
us.
finish us off. Well, Ryan will finish this off with a good email. So we'll start with the bad and
end on the positive.
Yeah, I'll just say, I won't name drop, I won't say anything. I will just tell you that I'll premise this by saying, yes, 2 episodes ago, my child was featured in the episode because he ran away from mommy and found his way in the office. And we got an email of someone very disapproving of that. And in the words of Sheldon, buck up. And that's all I'm engaging in.
Okay.
So moving on. Buck up, dude.
Back up.
Buck up. Ryan, onward to a good email.
Positive note. And I want to say that with we do take criticism. We want to improve the show, but we do have families, and if our kids, our dogs come in, we're gonna give them time. That's just, we are family men. That's gonna happen.
And sometimes you can edit it out, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes the conversation moves forward, and it happens.
But if you do have a criticism about the show, if you'd like to see something else, email us. If you want us to talk more about Star Trek, if you want us to do the Star Trek marathon, email us, because we have taken advice before and done specific things to try to cater to the wants and interests. But yeah, we are family. Fuck up. All right, so positive note. This is from, I'm not going to do full names, Christopher. He says, hello. I am a new listener, and your podcast is a lovely place that I'm glad to have found. Y'all are researching and talking about the different details, and if Ryan is Sheldon or if Rob is a Rajesh chef, has really made it a nice journey, even though I am still only at episode 10. I just wanted to introduce myself and will certainly send more mail in sometime in the future. And this is great because episode 10, it's going to take like I don't know, at least a few weeks to get to where we're at. But we are mentioning Christopher, and thank you. Your email made our week, and we're glad we're getting new listeners and that you're enjoying it. And I hope that the content continues to enthrall you. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope you enjoy the ride. You got a long ways to catch up, so I did shoot you an email just so I didn't want to leave you hanging for like 80 more episodes.
80 more episodes. we ghosted you. Surprise!
So thanks for being a listener. We're glad that you're enjoying it, and we hope you keep enjoying it. All right. Anything else on that? Otherwise, back at housekeeping.
I think that's about it. I'm just so happy that we're getting new listeners too. I'm like, although on the other end of that, like, do you know how cool it is to be a fan of something or like pick up something new and not realize like there's a whole bunch of this to catch up on? Like, you find a new TV show and you're like, I have 3 seasons of this to watch and I love all of it. So I hope that we're like that, and I'm just so glad people can continue to find us and that we'll do this for a long. Yeah. So that's all I got.
Yeah, nice. We'll also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. So that really helps us out. We're still sitting fairly pretty at 4.7. So yeah, I'm happy about that.
Better than other podcasts. I've seen some downers, right? So I'm okay with that.
Well, if you leave us a 5-star review, we'll give you a shout out as well. So thank you. We are talking Season 4, Episode 20, The Herb Garden Germination, aired April 7th, 2011, written by Chuck Lorre, Bill Prady, and teleplay by Stephen Malaro, directed by Mark Centrowski. Opening scene, Sheldon and Amy are at a bookstore listening to an author discuss his new book, and we have our first guest star, Dr. Brian Greene, where he is talking about his book, The Hidden Reality. So, not an IQ point, but a little bit of like information on him. He actually is a real scientist and a real teacher. So, he's a physicist and a mathematician at Columbia University. And the Washington Post has described him as the single best explainer of abstruse concept in the world today. And the book that he's talking about, The Hidden Reality, it was his 3rd book, and it was a New York Times bestseller. And he actually... Oh, sorry?
Oh, I was going to say, I haven't read that one, but I did read The Elegant Universe. Even though he breaks it down, like, it's still stuff that's above my head, but he does it in a way that is accessible and, like, gets people interested in it. And I love that. I adore that about him. When I saw him, I was so happy. And I was not surprised that Sheldon was making fun of him. But at the same time, I'm like, screw you, Sheldon. I love Brian Greene. So
you should give a point to be someone else then. That is a non-Sheldon point.
I didn't put one in there. I'm going to do that. Yeah, non-Sheldon point. I like Brian Greene.
Wait, so you read that book before you even started watching Big Bang Theory?
Oh, yeah.
So you knew him the moment you saw him then?
Yep, yeah. Oh, I knew
that's
him.
That's pretty cool.
That's freaking... Like, I wasn't sure because his face looked familiar, and when they said his name, because I know his name more than his face, I'm like, I know who that is. Yeah.
Well, making things accessible, I guess, is not something Sheldon likes.
That's true. Well, he likes to figure himself very fancy and very, like, he's egotistical, almost like godlike, right? So he wants to think that he's individualistic and that people can't understand what he's talking about. So he's, I like Brian Greene. I'll just come out and say, I like Brian Greene. That's the point.
There it is, yeah. Well, Brian Greene's latest book is actually from 2020. So at this point, it was about 5 years ago, and it's called Until the End of Time, Mind, Matter, and Our Search for Meaning in an Evolving Universe. So in addition to this book, he's written 6 books. And he's written numerous technical articles, which makes sense because he's a professor at Columbia. But yeah, so he's a real person, and Sheldon really frowns upon him because he doesn't like it's like we were saying, he doesn't like the idea of dumbing down the science.
Yeah.
He's too smart for it. So this actually, watching Dr. Brian Greene is his version of watching like dumb reality TV. where it's like he's doing it to unwind a little bit, to kind of like mindless like make fun of him and stuff like that.
It's like, this can't be real. These people, yeah. I kind of felt like the conversation they're about to have could have happened anywhere, and I'm like, did they really need to use Brian Green for this? But they were probably working with schedules, and I'm just happy they were able to fit this in with Brian Green and actually get him on the show. I think that speaks highly of his character, and it also speaks a lot for Sheldon's character. What would Sheldon say about Brian Green? Well, we see a face-to-face interaction. I loved it.
Well, he says some very mean things.
Really mean things.
But we'll get into that later because that's towards the end. Because Amy has some hot goss to share. So she shares that Bernadette is considering breaking up with Howard. And Sheldon is frowning upon, again, he's just a big poo-pooer at this point. He's poo-pooing on Dr. Brian Green, and he's poo-pooing on Amy for engaging in gossip. But she defends her actions because she says evolutionary biologist Robin Dunbar has identified gossip as an aid to social bonding in large groups. So this is the first IQ point.
So I actually had one before this.
Ooh.
Do you want to jump back?
Yes, let's rewind back. Let's click that rewind button.
Talking about Werner Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. And, I think I found enough to qualify this as an IQ point. But Green, this is something that Sheldon makes fun of. Green says that it's like a food menu where you have options where you can pick course A, course B, course C, and appetizers A, B, C, D. But if you pick something from column A or column 1, you may not be able to pick things from column 2. And Sheldon says, scoffs at that idea. I think it's a great metaphor. I guess I don't understand this completely, but I love Green's way of breaking it down into things that people understand. That, okay, I understand that if I have a menu, prefab menu, that I might be able to pick course 1, 2, and it only comes with certain sides with that course. But according to scienceexchange.caltech.edu, uncertainty has nothing to do with the uncertainty principle. It has nothing to do with maybe more specifically, has nothing to do with our ability to measure precisely. It's just the course of nature. And the principle indicates, quote, a trade-off, air quotes, a trade-off between two complementary variables such as position and speed. Basically, it's an inverse relationship between knowing where a particle is located and its speed. Or in other words, we can either know the location and not know the speed, or we can know how fast it's going but have no idea where it is. That's just apparently in the course of quantum mechanics. In fact, more than quantum mechanics, it's anything with wave-like characteristics. In this case, they are talking specifically about subatomic particles like electrons, but there are other things that have wave-like characteristics. And, maybe Caltech's oversimplifying this, but it seemed to make sense for me. They use the idea of a ripple in a pond. You throw a stone in a pond and it causes ripples. And the notion is that if you have a bunch of ripples and they go really fast, oscillate really quickly, you might be able to see, from that ripple, that heavy ripple, you can tell it's going really, really fast. But understanding where the wave is and the power of the wave, you might not be able to understand that as well. But if it's one gentle ripple, you can really pinpoint, there's the ripple, that's the wave. It also gave an example of a roller coaster. And you imagine a roller coaster, a cart getting to the top of a hill. It's going really slow, and you can pinpoint that cart is at the top of the roller coaster. We can pinpoint it. And once it goes down and starts going really fast, it's a blur on all the other hills. It's descending and ascending, woo, up and down, up and down. So either you can say, oh, it's going really, really fast, or you can slow it down and say, we know where it is, but we are not able to measure how fast it's going. So it's, again, not having to do with our tools or our ability to monitor or that we're uncertain. It's just that apparently in the course of nature, you're able to measure one or the other, but not both, especially not simultaneously. So that was my understanding of it. I thought it was interesting, and I do like Green's. I felt like Green's metaphors, analogies. I should say not metaphors, analogies. Were as strong as the ones from Caltech. So Sheldon seems to be the odd liar out. And this is stuff that mathematically probably makes sense if you know a lot more math. But I do like their ability to break this down, and I think it's cool stuff nonetheless. And Sheldon responds by saying, "Ba-dum bum," right? So that was my IQ point for the uncertainty principle.
Nice. Yeah, I still don't like. I mean, I kind of I guess I will say I understand Sheldon's like not liking the dumbing down of it. He's such a superior being and far intellect that like the whole idea that you have to dumb it down is like ridiculous to him.
You know, I feel like I feel my way feeling this sometimes too. And I don't want to. I with bands, take something like Nirvana, which I can't say I'm the biggest Nirvana fan ever, but I would say that their Unplugged album is one of the greatest albums ever recorded. It is fantastic. The range of songs that they have, the covers that they do, the recording, the sound quality, the instruments, it's beautiful. I love it. And I see people wearing Nirvana shirts. I'm like, oh, you like the band Nirvana? And they're like, it's a band. And I'm like, I want to be mad at that kind of filtering and dumbing down of Nirvana's image. Or you ask like, oh, what songs do you like? And the only thing they can say is Smells Like Teen Spirit, which Kurt Cobain actually hated because a bunch of frat brothers started listening to it on repeat. And he's like, I don't want to be that pop culture guy. I want to create like punk music or like, grunge music, punk music. But anyways, this notion that like I'm listening to something special, and to enjoy it, you have to be in the special class with me, or like somehow as smart as me if you deserve to listen to it. And at the same time, I'm like, other people deserve to listen and enjoy. Even if they only like Smells Like Teen Spirit, they deserve to listen to that and enjoy it. So part of me is like, I can see and feel Sheldon, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't think that's fair or reasonable. So anyways, I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, it definitely made sense. Like it's a hard thing to explain because just like music, I think we talked about this in the last episode that music is such a personal thing and is something that's like part of you. That is what science is to Sheldon.
Yeah.
So the idea that people are bastardizing it is like kind of painful to him. So his coping mechanism is to mock it.
Mock it.
Yeah. We just cracked this code.
Ba-bum.
Yeah, we just Da Vinci that. That. All right, well, onward to evolutionary biologist Robin Dunbar. Dunbar. I said Dunbar. Dunbar. Well, who is Dr. Robert... Boy, Freudian slip.
Words are hard today.
Dr. Robin Dunbar. Known... full name is Robert... Why do I keep saying Robert? Let's do it again. Robin Ian MacDonald Dunbar. Quite the name. He is a British biologist, anthropologist, evolutionary psychologist, and specialist in primate behavior. Quite the resume. Dunbar is a professor emeritus of evolutionary psychology of the Social and Evolutionary Neuroscience Research Group in the Department of Experimental Psychology at the University of Oxford. The titles just keep going on with this guy.
This guy has done it all. He and it's like 1947 too, so like he's still, I feel like he's still I don't know, putting up the good fight too. Like I feel like he is still well known and he's still alive and he's still doing things and he's adding things to those titles. So
yeah,
good for him. I'd be taking naps.
Well, he is most famous for his formulation of the Dunbar's number, which is a measurement of the cognitive limit to the number of individuals with whom any one person can maintain stable relationships. Spoiler alert, the number is 150.
I have to ask, when you saw Dunbar's number, was I the only one who thought that meant the number of people you've slept with?
Yes.
Like Dunbar's number. It's
At no
like
point did I think
sex.
that.
I'm like, this is a sex thing. I know this. It wasn't a sex thing at all.
Ryan, this is a family show. Get your
This
head
is a
out of the
family
gutter.
show.
It's a family show because I'm going to bring my kid on again. Take that.
And who's going to be crying? Ryan is. Not a sex thing.
150 seems high. I cannot maintain that many relationships.
Right? I'm like thinking like, but is it a choice of mine to say, I'd rather like stick to like a good like, how close are the relationships though? Because I know probably like 10 coworkers at work that I know pretty well, maybe not super well, but I know like maybe where they live. I know their spouses,
Their social security, their hopes and dreams and fears,
passwords for security questions, mother's maiden names. But other than that,
but it's just an acquaintance, though.
It's just acquaintance. I don't know the last time any of them ejaculated. Family show. Sorry, I had to do it.
Well, you're obviously not close to them at all, then.
So not even acquaintance. Wow. Sorry, guys.
Back to family show.
I do have like close friends and families, the people that like I know their dogs, that they could call me over. I would let their dogs out any day of the week if I'm around. They have my password to my garage, stuff like that. And probably them, I only have like maybe 10 to 15 of those people. And if you start adding all these up, maybe I have like, I would think 80, 90. So maybe like a little more than half. But I can start to see like, there's different levels of relationships. Not all of them have to be really close and intimate. But at the same time, 150 still seems high to me. And I have to wonder if that's a personal choice of mine. Like, I would rather have closer relationships. And if I find value in knowing you, I'm happy to like bring you in and get to know you. But at the same time, I'm not just going to make meaningless relationships. So I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I didn't that was not the purpose of this IQ point, so I didn't really look into the Dunbar's number, but it does put it it does put it does put it into question of like what really is a stable relationship. Like what is he classifying as a stable relationship? Like how many facts do you really need to know about this person to call it a relationship?
Make it stable, yeah.
Yeah, because like if I had to add 150 people up, most of them would be like work acquaintances, and I swear I wouldn't be able to name a fun fact about them at all. So, but anyways, Dunbar wrote an entire book on gossip because that's the point of the IQ point, and it's an aid, and it's aid to bonding, in social groups. So his book is called Grooming, Gossip, and the Evolution of Language, and it was released in 1996. Well, the entire premise of the book is the argument that gossip does for group living humans is what manual grooming does for other primates. It allows individuals to service their relationships and thus maintain their alliances on the basis of the principle, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. As human groups got larger and larger, the physical act of grooming was way too time-consuming. So in response to this, humans invented a new way to groom. I know you like those air quotes.
Air quotes.
Yeah. To groom one another, and that was in the form of vocal grooming, also known as gossip. So Dunbar's hypothesis seems to be supported by the fact that the structure of language shows adaptations to the function of narration in general. So pretty much he's just saying that's how you pick each other.
Yeah, and like my understanding, and I'm sure we'd have to read the book to understand it more fully, and I want to talk about some of the criticisms, but it's this notion that if you have 150 people in your stable relationships, how do you pick those people Well, you hear the gossip, and from the gossip, that lets you know, do I want one of those 150 people in my circle, or should I get rid of them? And it's your way to groom who you're friends with, alliances with, and yeah, hearing these nitpicks helps you pick people like picking fleas off a back or something.
Would you say that you're a gossipy person? Do you like to engage?
I don't like to engage. I have some moral issues with it, but I think that I'm as receptive as the next person, where if there's a juicy bit of gossip, I'm like, I need to know what it is. And I do feel that. But as far as repeating goes, I try really hard not to repeat stuff. Yeah, some moral issues with it, but I can't say hold a higher ground saying I never gossip, because that's not the case. How about you?
I'm definitely, and it's funny because my wife saw this like instantly, like when she met my friend group, that I'm the listener. That people have this tendency to like just tell me things, but I never repeat it. And that's part of the reason why people tell me things, is because they know I'm a confidant. Like,
Mm,
I don't repeat it. I'll hear it, I'll listen to it. I love it. I'll pull out the popcorn and just enjoy it, but I'll never repeat it unless it's something that could like cause serious harm.
yeah.
Then it's something, okay, let's nip this. But
I,
otherwise it's like that's why I have all the gossip in the groups.
it's like somebody's gonna hurt themselves or others. Like, that's not gossip. That's scary, and we have
Okay, it's never
to.
been that extreme, but it's more like, like in relationships, or if someone's planning on like doing something, or if they're going somewhere, or if you see something, or it's like that, then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's try to solve this.
Rob, I'm gonna hurt myself. Don't tell anyone. Mum's the word. Like, no.
I'm also starting an herb garden.
Herbert.
All right, anything else on Dunbar?
Oh, I wanted to talk about criticisms a little bit. The fact
Oh
that,
yeah.
and I feel like part of this comes from, well, one of the criticisms was that it doesn't really take into account what Wikipedia was saying as honest signaling, where information is given from the producer to the receiver in an attempt to give an honest idea. And the fact that because what they keep saying is words are cheap, there's so much dishonest information, it doesn't really account for how people handle dishonest information. That's the way I understood it. But also, I feel like he's saying that the need for gossip is what develops speech. And the criticism is that it's a pretty big disconnect to say that meaningless grooming sounds and intentions develops syntactical speech, and bridging that and just saying, well, humans like narratives. Well, narratives do a lot more than just gossip. Narratives give meaning, give value, and give education. We remember things based on narratives and stories. That's why we have Bibles and myths and religious texts, Qurans, or that's why we have things that
HBO
are
Max.
HBO Max, right? And all the great streaming content. We like stories. In fact, I was telling Rob that I started watching a new show, and it didn't give the backgrounds of any of the characters, and it was just straight into, and
The
not going to give
juicy
the
stuff.
title, not going to give the title, but it went straight into ultimatums. And
Wow, so cryptic.
it was very cryptic. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. It, I'm not going to say the show's that bad, but it reminded me of did you see Idiocracy?
Yeah.
Where he goes, okay, I'm not going to bash anybody's cinematography, but right now you have a bunch of asses and butts on the screen farting. Wouldn't it be better if you know whose ass that was and why they're farting? And people are like, yes, it would be. So I like knowing the backgrounds. I like knowing the stories a little bit more. And I think most people function that way. There's different people, different preferences, but I would argue that humanity has been building society based on stories from so many reasons. And gossip and allies, I feel like maybe part of it, but it's oversimplifying, and I can see why there's a criticism saying that gossip evolved in syntactical speech. I think that's a little too broad of a jump. So that was my thought.
Okay.
And I also wanted to mention this too. In the right place. Yeah, Amy says that without gossip, society would devolve into, am I right at this point, tattoo enthusiasts and bikers
Fighting over the last cans of tuna fish.
last cans of tuna fish, yeah. And I felt like that was really, really
extreme.
lacking in logic, because I would say that tattoos are basically, what did I write here? Well, if we assume memes are elements of culture passed imperfectly, tattoos are basically memes recorded on human flesh. And so we would find ways, like basically having tattoos are our ways to spread gossip, ways to spread information imperfectly. They might not be oral, but they are still forms of communication. And each tattoo has a story behind it where you express yourself and what's going on. Each tattoo is a form of gossip in picture form on human flesh. So I didn't like that. And then I would say I'm not a motorcycle enthusiast, but I would be willing to bet motorcycle enthusiasts have their own cultures and gossip. And if in a post-apocalyptic world we are divided into motorcycle gangs, then each gang is going to have their own gossip, which would be even more substantially necessary, because that gossip would help you keep your alliances in a post-apocalyptic world, which is what gossip was meant for. So I feel like Amy's jump to a post-apocalyptic world created a picture that gossip is even more necessary than it is today. I would say that a more proper metaphor would be a civilization where we have been broken down into isolated islands and caves where we hide from each other. And we just don't trust anybody or let anybody in. That was, maybe I'm nitpicking here, but I'm like, God damn, I have tattoos and each one's a bit of gossip. So I went into that a little bit too.
Well, going on to what you said about the tattoos and gossip, and it's a form of communication, you could actually make that argument with everything about you. The way you groom
Absolutely.
yourself, how your hair, just wearing like your choice to wear glasses over contacts says something about you. Your facial hair, your clothes, the people wearing a Nirvana shirt had like a perception and communicating to the world something.
Why are you wearing
it? It may not be interpreted the same, but that's part of communication.
And as gossip being a form of choosing who we align ourselves with, align ourselves with. There we go. The notion is that, do we choose them based on their Nirvana shirt because they're wearing it because they actually love the band in every single song, or they like the image, or they like Teen Spirit? Like, there's so many reasons, and we have to choose, why are we aligning ourselves with them?
Mm-hmm.
So
I can see both sides. I definitely understand, like, the gossip helps you filter out people, essentially. It decides whether or not you're going to hide in the cave or not.
Exactly. It helps us choose our alliances or hide in the cave. And that's why I think the metaphor of hiding in the cave is much more reasonable. Not to say gossip's good or bad, but I think I would side with it's a necessary part of humanity and the Dunbar number.
Yeah. Just as a form of communication.
I got 150 people on the list. I need to know which ones I keep on it.
Yes.
I'm crossing you off that list.
You're 151. I'm just gonna forget your name.
Forget your
Erase
name.
you from existence.
Sorry.
All right. Well, Sheldon hears the gossip and he just brushes it off. He doesn't even care. The tuna fish is safe. And then he raises his hand and addresses himself to Dr. Green and is a total dick.
That is such a dick move.
Have you tried doing something more useful for society, like reading to the elderly? but not your book. I kid, I'm a big fan. It's like, dude.
Like, if I ever did a reading, like, I don't know how to respond to somebody like that. Just be like, thank you for the comment.
Yeah. For as much as he's been bullied in his life, he really did kind of turn into a bully.
Yes, he did. And that infuriates me. I guess that's not necessarily one point for or against Sheldon, but I feel like all the bullying that has happened to me has turned me into somebody who really hates bullies and bullying. And I feel like it did the opposite for Sheldon, that he doesn't even realize it and he still does it.
Yeah, he is doing a lot of Sheldon's actions are very unconscious. It's
Mm-hmm.
just him.
It's just him.
All right. Well, now we get the opening credits, the theme song, and now we're on to the next scene. We're at the apartment. Sheldon and Leonard are playing Wii Archery, and Sheldon wants Leonard to be more realistic when they play. He wants him to actually go and grab the arrows, fill the quiver. So Leonard responds to this by imaginarily stabbing him. And then Sheldon informs Leonard of the gossip that he heard. And Leonard is wondering what happened to them. Like, he tells him what happened. He's like, "Oh no, I wonder what happened." But this is kind of funny. We mentioned this in the beginning. From an outside perspective, we know exactly what went wrong. We know
Yeah,
why she
we
wants
know
to break
a
up with
lot.
him.
Which would be
Yeah,
dramatic irony, right? That we know what's going on, but the characters on screen do not know.
yeah.
So I have an IQ point, though, before getting too much further into
Oh,
the. I mean,
yeah.
I had it. This was front ended. I have a couple more, but this was really like three back to back to backs. Sheldon makes the offhanded comment that the game of archery he learned from his father, and it brings back the memory of the smell of K-Mart bourbon. And first of all, I had a few questions about this, a few underlining issues. The first one was saying Kmart bourbon could mean bourbon made by Kmart or bourbon bought at Kmart. And so I was first really, really curious because, I mean, this sounds silly, but we get Costco makes Kirkland brand, right? Kirkland
Kirkland,
brand
yeah.
whiskey. And technically, Kmart did have a lot of. I think they're out of business now. I didn't double check that, but I think they're completely
Kmart's
out.
gone.
It's
Yeah.
gone. They did not ever have their own brand of liquor, but they had other brands of stuff, like their own brand of jeans. I forgot what they were called. I didn't write them down, but they would have like their own brand of jeans, their own brand of potato chips or something. Walmart has their own brand. I mean, they have great value, right?
A lot of big companies do have like their own branded items.
Yep. But they never actually had Kmart bourbon or alcohol. And bunch of this confusion, I wanted to check that out. But then the question was, does this even make sense for Sheldon? Because I wasn't convinced Kmart ever sold alcohol. And apparently, Kmart did sell alcohol at several points in time. In fact, when they were going bankrupt, they actually had to fight for the ability to sell alcohol in some states to get money to pay their debts. And I think part of the reason I didn't pick up on this was because in some of my formidable years, I don't remember going to Kmart when I was in Kansas, but when I was in Pennsylvania, where is liquor sold in Pennsylvania?
Liquor stores.
Liquor stores. So
Yeah.
I never saw Kmart selling liquor because in Pennsylvania, you can't buy liquor at Kmart or anywhere except state owned liquor stores.
What's it like in Texas though?
Liquor stores.
Really? All the
Yep.
time?
All the time. And
Oh.
I looked this up, and it gets kind of hard, and not all the research correlates, but from multiple websites, I found that 1933 Prohibition ended, and Texas was like the first state, according to historical marker Riley's Tavern, talks really substantially about Texas being the first state to legalize alcohol, and the first people, in fact, September 19th, 1933, Prohibition ends, Texas becomes the first state. And then, according to sxsw.com, liquor in Texas can only be bought from liquor stores. Other stores can only sell beer and wine, anything above. 17% gets sold at the liquor store. And this gets confusing because some states, what's it like in Pennsylvania now? Like, you have to go to bottle shops. You can't get beer and wine at, like, Walmart, right?
If they have you can now. It's
You
a
can
pretty
now?
recent thing. So like my local grocery, I don't shop at Walmart, but my local grocery store does have a beer and wine section.
All right.
But we have limits on what you could do. Like you could only buy like 2 6 packs or like 3 bottles of wine or something like that. It's like it's based off the ounce. So like there are limitations on how much you can buy, but it's such a weird thing. Like as long as like you leave their view, you can come back and buy more. So like you basically yeah, so you buy it and then you put it in your car and then you walk back and buy more. But
That's
it's one of those hacks where it's like as long as I don't see you, as long as I see you like leave the premise, then you come back, then you could buy more.
I remember getting off work at Walmart when I lived in Pennsylvania at like 10 o'clock at night, and Walmart didn't sell beer, wine, and bottle shops were closed. And so I remember having to go to Olive Garden and them actually telling me like I was not the only one to do this. You could order a bottle of wine, they would open it up, pour you a glass, bottle, cork it back up for you. You drink that one glass and you could take the bottle home.
Nice.
And so they're like, a lot of people do this around 10:30 at night. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like in restaurant sales, it's all about the alcohol. It's never food. What's gonna
So,
save you? In
uh,
Pennsylvania, speaking of which, sorry,
no,
but
go for it.
in restaurants, like Pennsylvania only has a certain amount of liquor licenses. So like that's why not all restaurants have liquor or they have like a BYOB because they can't have the permit to actually sell it, but you could have it on the premise.
I saw mentions of that in Texas as well when I was doing this research. I'm like, that's too much of a rabbit hole for me. But and apparently a big part of this is liquor sales. People buy more when they are drinking, especially food, but also microbreweries and wineries are pushing and changing laws substantially in the past 20 years, even. So yeah, apparently liquor stores, and different than Pennsylvania, because I believe Pennsylvania, the liquor stores are state owned.
Yes.
For not for wine, bottle shops are personally owned. So if you want beer and wine, you can go to a bottle shop, or at least when I was there, and buy beer. But to buy a bottle of vodka, you had to go to a liquor store that was state owned. And apparently Washington was like this too until I moved here, and then they closed all of them down and sold them all off.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember signing that petition to actually like to get it out of state owned to privatize alcohol
Preface.
sales, which was kind of amazing because it led to like the availability everywhere, but then
Mhm.
the tax got hit so hard.
Uh,
That's why Washington is like one of the more expensive states in
it
terms of alcohol.
most bottle shops, or I should say liquor shops, wine and I
I've
don't
never
know,
heard that
wine and
term,
goods.
bottle shop. Is
Uh,
that something that like
really?
you heard like
Oh,
yeah, bottle
that's
shop?
what we
Yeah.
called Pennsylvania, where you went in and all they had was beer, or they would have like these garages that you kind of pull in and say, "I'd like a case of Bud Light and I'd like a case of Bush," and they would put it in your trunk for you. It was look kind of like a gas station.
Oh, that's like not a thing anymore. They
Weird.
changed. Yeah,
You,
ever since I've lived here, that's not a thing.
ask some people about them, but like that's how you got beer. You pulled in like kind of like where you would get like an oil change, right? You pull into this little garage area and you like give them a list, and they'd have all the bottles stack up in fridges around you, and you don't even get out of your car, and they'd load you up.
That's cool. God, why did they get rid of that? I would love that.
it was
I'd drive through all the way.
it was before I was legal, so I don't even think I went through it with my dad, but I remember driving by them on my way to school, saying like, "Oh, people are getting beer." I don't know, at like 9 o'clock in the morning, like a couple of cases of Bush or something. I don't know. But yeah, they used to be called bottle shops because all you get was bottles of beer. I remember at Penn State there was a Hooters by me, and it was like the Hooters restaurant, and attached to it they had a Hooters bottle shop, and you basically walked in and it was like a beer store, just a bunch of coolers and you just picked out the 6 packs you wanted, and that's all you could buy there. And apparently somehow that was legal, but buying it at Walmart was not. like, ew. But I did think it was interesting that Texas was independently owned liquor stores, not or state owned, and they've been monitored by the TABC, Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission, which apparently has gone through many changes, and the laws have changed a lot, which got me into the laws, which according to versus texas.com, these laws are largely called the blue laws. And these laws mostly restrict the sales on certain items. They're known now mostly for alcohol, but they've been for other items as well throughout history. And historians actually debate these a little bit. Some say that they come from the 17th and 18th centuries of Texas, people growing in Texas, I guess. Some historians claim that they get their name from being transcribed from older records onto official blue paper. But some historians believe that it was a derogatory term criticizing the religious connections to the laws, because in fact, if you search blue laws in Texas, the main thing that comes up is that you cannot buy alcohol on Sundays. And some people, I haven't lived in Texas in over a decade, so I don't know, but I remember, in fact, even when I was there, I was only there for a few months. In Nebraska, I remember on Sundays, you would go to the grocery store and they'd pull down like rain flaps or whatever, and it would say no alcohol sales because it was a Sunday in certain counties. You could go to other counties and actually buy it. It's weird. So originally, blue laws, what I could find according to TexasMonthly.com, the blue laws were enacted in 1961, although they claimed they were in effect since 1863. However, in 1961, the big deal was that Houston's mayor created a blue law squad to crack down on violators. Basically, on Sundays, he had these cops going around saying, "Are you selling any beer or vodka?" And if they were, bam, they were arrested or whatever. I don't know.
Just say no then.
Just say, nope.
I
wasn't selling that.
No.
TexasMonthly.com also claims that the laws, like a lot of people blame religious people because it's Sunday's usually God's day, Sabbath, and they're like, we don't want alcohol sold on God's day. But TexasMonthly.com has a good claim that it's not religious entities, but retailers and corporate entities who don't want to compete on Sundays. They're basically like, on Sundays, we could lose sales. On every other day of the week, we know what sales we have. Just kind of an interesting argument because I always thought it was all religious based, but apparently there is some backlash that retailers are maintaining those laws, even though most people think they're kind of silly. So what I found out basically is that K-Mart did not have a brand of bourbon. K-Mart did sell liquor in certain states. K-Mart never sold liquor in Texas because liquor was sold at non-state private liquor stores. So this is just a fault with the writing. And the other thing is that I did find a Reddit forum where people were talking about this detail. And one of the final posts says this is a nitpicky detail. It's a metaphor for bourbon that smells and tastes like something you'd buy at a cheap store like Kmart.
Yeah.
But so you can take it however you want, but we're here to do IQ points, and the IQ says that his dad would never have bought bourbon at Kmart. So that's the IQ point.
That's a good one. Yeah, I'm really glad you went into that.
I don't think I would have had I not lived in Pennsylvania and been like, wait, Kmart's never sold bourbon. That's the only time I've ever been in a Kmart. In fact, I worked at one for a while. I'm like, we didn't sell fucking alcohol. I would have bought some.
Well, Sheldon decides to speculate Bernadette and Howard's relationship based off his own experience. He says that, well, it's hard to say what's going on, but I can only speculate based off the data, watching his own parents' marriage implode. So he says that the woman dives into religion, referring to his mom, and then his father will dive into a bottle blonde bartender who tries to buy his love with action figures. So, more details of Sheldon's past. We learned that his dad was pretty much a drunk and cheated on his mom, or even left his mom for a blonde bartender because she did try to buy his love.
Who seems pretty nice. You get somebody who's actually at least like admitting that you exist. I don't know.
Yeah, but it makes me wonder. It's like I only watched the first couple seasons of Young Sheldon, but it's like, did they address this? Because we kind of talked about this, like I feel like Sheldon's memory of his father is like so skewed and messed
Warped.
up. Again, this is based off the first couple seasons. I only watched like the first two,
Hmm.
and so it's like none of this stuff happened, at least from what I saw, unless something happened in the past. And it's like I don't even know.
Yeah.
I do need to watch that show again. I did really enjoy that show, so I just need to watch it again. But anyways, we jump over to the bathroom, and Leonard is checking in on Priya, and she is flossing too close to the mirror. And Leonard freaks out because of the pending inspection, and he doesn't want to lose his TV privileges. And Priya, the lawyer, says, "I need to take a look at that roommate agreement at some point." And that seed has been planted.
There we
No,
go. Yeah, that was
no
foreshadowing
okay,
that
no,
somebody's going to
no
look at that
spoilers.
contract.
Did you get
And
ahead?
nope, I have not. But the way
well,
she said that,
yeah.
and he's like, I don't want to lawyer up, but she's aiming for that goddamn contract, and we've talked so much about it. And now we have a lawyer. Yeah, I'm like, that's gonna come up.
Yep. The seed is planted, and now we must germinate.
Germinate.
Well, Bria mentions that she got some Dodgers tickets and was thinking of inviting Howard and Bernadette. And I just love her reasoning. It's like, I think that she's really interesting, and I can get used to him.
I did like. I could get used to
He
him.
has become a little bit more tolerable ever since his relationship with Bernadette. You actually do notice that he is toning down a lot
She
more.
makes him a better person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he informs Priya of the gossip that he hears that, oh, not a good idea because I think she's going to break up with him. And then she says who it's good news for. It could be good news for Raj. Because Raj is really into her. And she found the poems, which are very, very disturbing if you really think about it. Oh, Bernadette, please play my clarinet. Like, that's dirty.
That's really
Oh,
dirty.
my. And it's funny because Priya thought that for a long time that Raj was the clarinet player.
Like that
Well,
could be taken so many ways too. I'm like, wow. So I get, I kind of combine them into one point for not being like Sheldon, but the tape. First of all, when I floss, I like to get close to the mirror, and I like to hover above my sink because I kind of drool while I floss. I don't know about other people, but I have my mouth open, I have my fingers in my mouth, and
You're the weird one.
I'm the weird one.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. So I don't know how Sheldon does it, but yeah.
I know that far away. It's like, how do you even see?
It was like, right, yeah, that too. Like I like control, I guess.
You know what I really like? A water pick. Do you ever use that?
I use both. I think I mentioned this. I know I've talked to a couple people, but I used the water pick for a while, and my dentist still yelled at me for not flossing. And they're like, "You need to floss too." So I started flossing, and when I got my bridge put in, my implants, they're like underneath the bridge, I can't get to with floss, and they're like, "You have to use a water pick on that." And so I floss, and then I use a water pick as well, especially on my bridge to double down. And I swear to God, if a dentist complains like you're not flossing, I'm gonna punch them. I'm just gonna punch them. I'm like, I floss more than you do, you son of a bitch. I am so mad right now at dentists in general. That
Well, maybe you're just not being efficient enough.
I'm not.
What's your technique?
What's your technique? I don't know. I have two of them. One of them should be efficient at this point. Water flossing, brushing with an electronic toothbrush, and gargling. Like my teeth should be eroded to stubs by how much attention I give them. Oh, I was gonna say, the combined point is that he says that the other tape is not for her, Priya, or because she sits to pee.
Hmm.
And this is solid point, not like Sheldon. In fact, I would argue Sheldon should be a sitter. I sit to pee, and people make fun of me. In fact, now all my listeners are part of my 150 social group because I just admitted that. I sit
We
to
know a
pee.
fun fact about Ryan now.
Okay, fun fact about
We
Ryan.
all know you a little bit better.
I was raised that way, and I do believe wholeheartedly that it is more clean, hygienic. Although, I mean, technically, piss is sterile when it leaves your body. I don't like the idea of it dribbling onto the floor. And no matter what any guy ever says, it will dribble on the fucking floor. And I've had men argue this. I've had women argue, no, my man's clean. No, it's not. No, he's not. There will be nights where he dribbles it on the floor and you will step in it in your sock. It's bound to happen. Ever go into any venue, even like I was at a concert the other day and they had those troughs where guys pee in. There's like fucking layer of pee underneath it because men are not hygienic. They don't get every single drop in the bowl. Not to mention splatters. When you throw a rock into a pond, it shoots up, it splatters. When you pee into a toilet basin, it splatters. And as much as you want it to, and as much of a good aim you have, it will get all over. Even if you have the toilet seat up, it's going to get on the basin, it's going to get on the floor. I think it's gross, and I am shocked and appalled that Sheldon is fine with it. So there we go. 1 point, not like Sheldon. That's my rant.
So passionate.
I have had so many people say, like, will you sit to pee? That's not very male. I'm like, I don't. I have
That is not the
feelings.
metric of a man, and I definitely see the validity. I definitely like. I've been getting up a lot in the middle of the night just because my kid has been like waking up in the middle of the night. Like last night, I actually had to get him like 4 times, and I'm so delirious. I was like, I'm gonna sit. I will spray that shit all over the place. If I go to the bathroom right now, it's going everywhere. I'm sitting.
I hope I'm sitting on a toilet. That's where I'm at. Like,
I just hope the seat's down.
Yeah.
I don't want that cold porcelain on my bum.
Oh man, that's cold. That's porcelain.
Yeah.
I'm still going, but
Yeah. All right. Well, now we're in the lobby. Just jumping ahead. We're done with this.
Let's jump out of Ryan's social circle now.
Yeah. Well, now we're in the lobby, and the gossip spreads. Leonard bumps into Penny, and they discuss. And, of course, Penny heard, since she is the one that told Amy. Penny doesn't seem to care because, like we said earlier, she thinks Bernadette can do better, which we all think. And then Leonard breaks the news that, what about Raj?
But he never says his name.
No, he says possibly a sexually ambivalent Indian astrophysicist with selective mutism and alcohol issues. Is he better than a 100-pound Jewish guy who lives with his mom? I mean, that could have been anybody.
Could have been anyone.
And Penny puts the pieces together that it was Priya that told Leonard. And then she talks a little bit of smack about Priya, that gossip is not an attractive quality. So,
I like that little jab.
Yeah. Yep. And then we cut over to Raj's. And Raj and Priya are Skyping with their parents. So we get another cameo of their parents, who is always a delight. I love his parents. And I just love that introduction, or that first line. It's like, we're very rich in a poor country, so can't complain.
It's pretty good. I do think it's funny that they Skype together, too. Like, I can't imagine having ever done that with my, yeah, siblings to me are like independent people. You talk to your parents independently, so...
No, you wouldn't talk like at the same time. I feel like if I was, even if I was on like vacation with my brother or something like that, if we're going somewhere and we decided to call our parents, or if my parents called one of us, the other person would, I feel like that's pretty normal.
Maybe. I just imagine them shouting in the background, say hi for me. I'm like, oh, he says hi. Like, I don't think I'd ever do it together.
Well, maybe it's an efficiency thing. It's 2 for 1.
That's true.
We ain't got time to talk to you individually. Just give me your updates now.
Especially with a FaceTiming, with both of it. In fact, I take that back. When I was in Japan with my ex-wife, we would FaceTime together. So, maybe it makes sense with face, especially back then, 2011. Now you can FaceTime on your phone like as you go, and I partially hate FaceTiming just because I'm like, oh, do I look okay? Do I have my makeup on? And maybe they want to look good for their parents, so that would make more sense now
Yeah.
that I think about it.
Well, they both call them mommy and daddy.
I mean,
It's a little
daddy.
weird. I clock that, and it's like, oh, okay, if that's what you want to call your
Mommy,
parents.
daddy.
I just don't know how I'd feel if when my son turns like 30, if he keeps calling me daddy.
I told you, stop calling me that. Stop
Yeah,
playing with
you
your
don't-
clarinet.
Yeah, you can just call me dad.
Just call me. In fact,
We're
just call me
actually
by my
starting to-
actual name. Call me Ryan.
You will address me as Rob, or just
Rob.
call. We actually are transitioning to dad. We
Okay.
actually are, like, because he's been doing dada a lot, but we're trying to transition to dad. Yeah. What? Well, I'll cut this part out, but just a side question. What do you want to be called?
I don't
Father.
know. Like, I haven't even thought. Call me father.
You will call me father.
Call me father. Just dad. That's what I always called my dad. So that's like, I feel like daddy would be weird. Papa.
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 Have your parents talked about what they want to be called? Because that I asked that because that was actually an odd, long conversation and a lot of thought from my parents and her parents of what they want to be called. Apparently, it's a big deal. Like, is it grandpa? Is it pop? Is it? But my parents decided on the Chinese version. So my mom is Popo and my dad is Yaya. And then I know eventually Christina's parents want to be addressed in the formal Korean version, but it's such a long. It's too many syllables. Haimani and Hadaboji. It's like there's no way a 2-year-old's going to be able to say that. So
Yeah.
So they're sticking with grandma and grandpa right now.
I think mine would be fine with grandma and grandpa. That's what I called mine, and that's with the dogs. I always say to Belle, you're going to grandma and grandpa's, so I think that's probably what they're down with.
Yeah, that's cool.
But at the same time, fuck them. My kids will call them what I want them to call them.
Yeah, you little dick.
Right, I can't help but notice your kid keeps calling me Dick. I'm like, yeah, Dick.
Is your name not Richard? All right. Well, all right. Back to it.
Do it.
Well, Priya mentions that if she's going to stay there a little bit longer, she should get her own place. And then the parents are just like horror struck. Why do you want your own place? Raj, are you not making your sister feel comfortable? I just love that. Like, they're just so quick to defend, like, the daughter.
And to blame him.
Yeah. Well, he almost spills the beans about her and Leonard, and they ask, oh my God, are you dating an American? Are you dating that Howard boy? And then apparently that's not a bad thing because he's Jewish.
I did love Raj saying she's not even sleeping here half the time, and she like hits him really hard. Shut up, Raj.
Yeah, it's like, bro. Yep. And then she has to like smack. She has to stomp on his foot too.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, but because Priya starts mentioning the gossip to Raj, and he gets very excited. What's up with clarinet? I mean Bernadette.
Bernadette.
All right. So, well, now we are at the cafeteria, and Sheldon is just rambling, and Howard is distracted, and Raj is like, "Get a load of this guy. You listening to this?" And like I said, Howard is very distracted, and he says that it's about Bernadette, and Raj just fakes his concern. Oh no! I hope everything's okay. And this is where, as an audience, we get concerned because he says that he is going to pop the question.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a phone call from his cousin about the ring, and it's half a carat, which is going to look great on her freakishly small hands.
That's so mean, but then he says he loves that about her.
Yeah, it's one of the things I love about her.
But I'm guessing the reason he loves it is because it makes parts of him look bigger. So,
Possibly. Yeah.
so I have another IQ point about Sheldon's musings.
Okay.
He's considering the origin of train of thought, and not a huge one, but I looked up the etymology on etymonline.com, and apparently the origin of train of thought comes from the philosopher Thomas Hobbes' book called Leviathan. And Leviathan was published in. Did I write that down? I know I wrote it somewhere. Maybe I didn't. I thought I did. Well, it comes from his book, and his book was written on social contracts, basically political theory about the English Civil War. And basically, he was saying in the book, he argues a strong, undivided government could prevent civil wars. And the title does come from the Leviathan, the giant, talking about Bibles, giant sea serpent in the Hebrew Bible. And the word Leviathan comes from the Hebrew word for connected or joined, apparently, according to this article. He used it to mean a succession of connected thoughts. And I thought this was interesting because we're going to talk about memes a little bit. We're talking about gossip, but apparently he uses it as a term to indicate how humans develop knowledge and notions like language, science, and communities. Basically, everybody has the same thought process that continues in the same connected thought line. And when I thought about this, when I think of trains, I think of locomotives, but apparently train in the 15th century was used. He's using it from the 15th century meaning as a series, progression, succession, or continuous course, which is older than the term is used for railroads. So if you think of train of thought, it has nothing to do with locomotives, which is why I think, when he says hoo hoo at the end, locomotives weren't invented until 1820, which is after in fact, I'm going to look this up because it's bothering me. I don't know why I didn't write it down. Hobbes, Leviathan, 1651 when he wrote the book, 1651. And so a few hundred years before locomotives were actually invented. So I thought that was interesting. I was thinking trains like hoo, like locomotives as well, but those are not what train of thought means.
Yeah, I heard that there's actually a train from that there's actually a lot of trains in my area that kind of go everywhere, and I've been thinking about doing it to like just go to like New York or something like that. Just take the train.
That's so much fun. I wish America, the United States of America, had more trains like that. Just get on and say, where am I going today? I'm going to freaking Tallahassee. I don't know. Just pick one and you have a train going there. Bullet trains, it's going to take longer than an airplane, but so much faster than driving. So it's like actually a really respectable form of travel. And I do get 1 point for being like Sheldon. I basically have ADHD and have a random succession of thoughts. I have a literal train of thoughts of random thoughts. I may not share them with everybody, but they are just that random, and I could say who at any given time too.
Well, I look forward to hearing it randomly.
Hoo.
Well, Leonard is showing genuine concern, but for some reason, Raj is smiling. But you know what? It's okay because a smile means different things in his country. Tears of joy, smile of sadness. India is a goofy place.
I did like that logic. Tears of joy, smile, sadness.
Well, now we jump back to the apartment, and Amy is with Sheldon, and she mentions her new study of addiction, and she's training a monkey to smoke cigarettes, who maybe we'll meet later. And then Sheldon asks, "Oh, have you learned anything?" And I love this that yes, I learned that he looks a lot cooler than the non-smoking monkeys. I still remember that. Like one of those scenes that lives like rent free in my head is from Third Rock from the Sun,
Uh-huh.
is when he discovers what smoking is. And he has this student because he's a professor. So he has a student that he just thought of and treated like a total nerd. And then all of a sudden, like he sees him smoking. He's like, "Oh my God, there's something different about you. You look cool. How are you doing it?"
When I think of
Well,
smoking, I always think of the Friends episode where Rachel's
trying to
coworkers
impress her boss. Yeah.
they always make the plans outside on smoke breaks, so they come back and everything's decided. And so she like tries to impress her boss also to get like in on the conversation, and tries to pick up smoking just so
Yeah.
she can join the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. It's so funny. Like I noticed that at work too. It's like we have these big meetings where everyone's there. We make a plan, but then afterwards a side conversation would happen between a couple people, and then everything changes.
We just ran into each other over coffee and we changed all the plans. Like, what?
Yeah. Well, Sheldon cuts her off. I love that he just decides like, I'm gonna stop listening and I'm gonna start talking. I hope that's okay. And she allows it. It's
And
like,
she's like,
okay.
oh.
He's perplexed of the events that took place. There was a rumor of a breakup, but now Howard is going to propose. So Amy mentions meme theory, which we will go into the IQ point, but I'll just finish up this scene. And she says that meme theory suggests that items of gossip are like living things that seek to reproduce, using humans as their host. And then we learn Sheldon's familiarity with it because he was called Shelley Cooper's a smelly pooper, and it spread like wildfire. And I will say, Amy's reaction to that is pure gold.
Mhm.
She's just like, I should think so. That's gold.
That's cool. Makes sense. It's very practical.
Just love her reaction. It's like just that realization. It's like, oh man, that is a good one. All right, so let's talk meme theory. I take it you did the IQ point too. Do
I did.
you want to take it?
Nope. I want you to go
Nope.
first. I've been talking a lot.
Very straightforward
Nope.
answer. Nope. You go
Nope.
first. Well, alrighty then. Meme theory, created by Richard Dawkins, and it was coined in 1976 in his book The Selfish Gene. And memes, or memetic theory, has really nothing to do with the internet themes, except it kind of does because the internet memes were named after this.
Mhm.
But the explanation is a little bit more scientific. So, meme theory, which stems from the Greek word of mimema, which means to imitate, suggests that ideas, behaviors, or skills are transferred between people through the process of imitation. And then here's an example. So, consider invention of a fire and the separate invention of the wheel as fundamental technologies. And then over time, those have been imitated and then adapted to create cars and other newer inventions. So that is a way to kind of explain meme theory. And this term is more associated nowadays with the drive of cultural evolution. So think of like musical tunes, catchphrases, fashion, technology. And like genes, memes are selfish replicators and have causal efficacy. So that means that their properties influence their change of being copied and passed on. So some succeed because they are valuable or useful to their human hosts, while others are more like viruses that will kind of just fade out. So people are just clinging on to the things that they like or the things that they find useful. So every time that something goes viral these days, that's why it's a meme, because it's kind of like replicating and just kind of evolving. And that's what I had on mimic theory. There are a lot of criticisms on this, but we'll kind of dive into that a little after.
That's I had some criticisms of it as well. but I was going to say that a lot of the same things I had, or, not necessarily criticism of it, but maybe of what Amy's saying a little bit, but also of it. But I was going to say, like, nowhere did I see mentioned of fundamental elements of mimicry, although there's so much I could read about this. It could take me weeks to actually have a lively conversation, but I'm thinking, like, even body language. I would imagine, like Sheldon, I was born without really understanding body language. And so I've studied a lot about it, like to understand, like, am I annoying somebody? I want to know when I'm annoying them. So I look for certain signs. For other people, apparently, that language is like a fundamental part of who they are. So they just pick up on, like, oh, they're looking at their watch. They want to go. Like, I have to look for that specifically because I won't pick up on it. But apparently, mimicking somebody is a sign that they like you or that they're impressed or idolize you in some way, shape, or form. And so if you, like, practice scratching your head and they scratch their head, like, subconsciously or consciously, whatever it might be, they are mimicking you because they are wrapped up in what you're saying and they're interested in you. And it could be other things like the way you clear your throat, the way you talk. I know I forget her name. The woman who, and this is on a much grander scale of mimicry, but the woman who got in trouble for frauding a blood company that she was trying to, she was mimicking Steve Jobs because she looked up to him. So it's like on a small scale of scratching your forehead, but it's on a large scale of the clothes you wear, the way you make your voice sound. And so it makes sense that even ideas that we pass down are forms of mimicking that we heard somebody else say it. So we're going to say it as well and pass it on. And that can make it a fad. It can make it like something that just burns out after a little bit, or it can grow into part of human culture as a whole, like the way we build our houses or something.
Yeah.
What did you have to say about criticisms?
It basically is a lot of people say that this is just a very oversimplification
Mm.
of just something that comes naturally. This is just almost like it's a way to kind of put a label on something that just occurs naturally. That's kind of like what it's saying. Like there
Yeah.
really is no like this is kind of like a nothing theory to just explain something that just happens naturally. It's like I guess I'm blanking on an example of like something that just occurs so naturally, and you're trying to like label it and create it into a theory. Like oxygen is around us, and I don't know how to
Water
finish
is
that
wet.
thought. And I'm going to create a theory that explains it, that has nothing to do with like the real reasoning behind it. So that's what a lot of people are saying about it.
And that gets me to my thought is that Amy says it's that mimicry memes are like living entities, and that makes it almost like a pseudoscience, like, oh, it's almost magical. But my thought, in the way Dawkins connects it to genes, is it's a form of evolution, and that humans are constantly evolving living creatures who want to succeed. And so it makes sense that they would latch onto something that they like, that they think is going to make them more popular, and then repeat it. And again, I have so much to read on this, I'm not sure, but it makes sense that, much like the head scratching, they think somebody's cool. They think the monkey smoking the cigarette's cool, so they're going to mimic the monkey smoking the cigarette. That part of evolution is we see something we think will help us survive. Somebody makes fire, we are going to remake that fire to try to survive. And that's kind of a larger issue, but like a funny thing that we think's funny, we are going to repost because subconsciously maybe it's going to help us survive. People are going to think we're funny and we're going to be connected to that. So not necessarily the meme is alive, but those spreading the meme, the idea, are alive. Therefore the idea is almost alive because it's passing through us. That's the way I was understanding it, but I would criticize that the meme itself is not alive, and that is kind of an oversimplification of why we do things and how we do them. But I think it's super fascinating. I study one of my classes is on urban legends, so I talk a lot about why they pass and why people reproduce them, especially if they're scary. So I think the shit's cool.
I guess maybe I just don't know enough of the topic, but I guess I'm seeing some disconnect on how it's relatable to gossip. I feel like the earlier conversation with Robin Dunbar about how gossip helps them create bonds. I definitely see
Mm.
how that relates to the storyline, but meme theory is almost more like actions and communic I mean, it's not really communication, but it's almost just like
The
actions.
concepts themselves, the
Yeah, so that's why it's like I'm
information.
having this disconnect of like how it really relates to like gossip, how they're like really treating gossip as like this imitation. I'm imitating gossip. You're not imitating it, you're just passing it along. So in that sense, I guess you're kind of imitating it in the regard of like you're just taking that same information and passing it, so you're mimicking it. But at the same time, I feel like this is just a stretch. It's a stretch in the storyline to include this theory just to kind of make it seem smarter.
Agreed. It didn't.
It just kind of fell a little flat.
And I understand what they were trying to say, that if we put an interesting piece of information out there, it will grow and thrive like a living entity through gossip.
Yes.
And like you said, I'm seeing the disconnect there, that I don't see it as a living entity. The theory doesn't seem to say it's a living entity. And by no means is it connected to gossip, like you said as well. That's how it's going to thrive. You
Okay,
know,
I
I
guess it makes sense now that you're kind of saying it that that's actually part of the reason why they did two rumors. They had the extreme one and they had the control. Because
yeah.
they knew one wasn't interesting and they knew the other one was interesting. So it's like how will this virus spread?
And like I can't say this is necessarily it's incorrect information. It's just it's a stretch in logic that I'm not able to follow completely, that they're kind of jumping to conclusions with this. I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting stuff, but I don't see the ends to the means, that in their experiment as well. In fact, that's something I was even thinking of, that their experiment does not prove what they're trying to establish either. So, but it's fun. I'll give you that.
Yeah. But like I said, they decide to create two rumors. And
Yeah.
then Sheldon calls her a vixen because she is getting her to dab in the social sciences.
And that's something too, is Sheldon is not an expert in these sciences. He doesn't claim to be, and usually he doesn't like them. But for some reason, because she's talking about them, he's interested. So I think he's thinking with little Sheldon.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, we are now outside of Penny's door, and Amy knocks on the door to talk to her, and she just says, Sheldon and I engaged in sexual intercourse. In other news, I'm thinking of starting an herb garden. Mum's the word.
I
Gotta
love
go.
that line. Mum's the word. Gotta go.
Just the look of confusion on Penny. Like, what just happened?
What the?
And now we jump over to the Cheesecake Factory, where Raj is there, drinking alone, being dark and mysterious, trying to holla at Bernadette.
Not his
And
finest
Penny.
hour, but funny as hell.
But Penny is like, knows she's an eagle eye view of everything. She knows what's going on, and she calls him out on it. Like, dude, that's your best friend's girlfriend. What are you doing? And very relatable. I was ashamed of myself when I came in, but it's amazing what liquor does to guilt.
I was ashamed. Not now.
And then they go into the rumor and everything like that. I'm like, wait, how'd you know that they're breaking up? And then she gets mad at Priya and calls her a gossipy bitch. And then it's like, oh shit, that's your sister. I shouldn't say that. And this kind of like goes back to what we were saying before, that they really just don't like each other because Raj says, well, you should hear the things that she says about you.
I love that, because we haven't seen Priya badmouth her. We've seen
No.
her tell Litter, don't hang out with her. I don't like that. But we haven't actually seen her talk shit. So we
Hmm.
know now that she is talking shit. We just haven't seen that side of her. And I'm
Yeah.
curious.
I know. I'm very curious of what actually she is saying about her, because at this point, it's like, it's just so funny. Like, as much as I love Penny, I love her. and I want to see them get together. All of his girlfriends are so much more appropriate for Leonard than Penny. But the heart wants what the heart
The
wants.
heart wants what the heart wants.
I go back to this every time. Dr. Stephanie. I thought that she was an amazing girlfriend. I thought she integrated herself so well to the group. She handled Sheldon so well and everything like that. But you know what? She wasn't Penny. And now Priya comes along, which we mentioned before, is arguably a more suitable mate to Leonard. We're supposed to not like her, but at this point, I do like Priya.
I don't like in the last episode where they were doing the hacking thing and she didn't help them. She got annoyed and went home. And that's one trivial thing, but it paints part of the character picture and
I'm gonna find myself very relatable. Like there are certain things that do not bring me joy. That brings me zero joy. And unfortunately, those are the things that bring my wife joy.
Mm-hmm.
So, i.e. gardening. We've talked about this before. How like she is obsessed with the garden, but I'm the helper and I'm the labor. So obviously if I have a chance to like duck out and not do it, I'm gonna take it. As much as I love my wife, there are times where it's like, okay, you'll figure that out, right? Bye.
Although, it's something they're at the beginning of the relationship too, and people usually they pretend at least a little bit.
Okay. She will get redemption no spoilers, but she will get some redemption on this topic in the next episode.
Ooh.
At least I think it's the next episode.
And I can't say that it's not like a make or break relationship thing, but it's a small character thing, like saying I can't say she's completely perfect because there is that discrepancy where she's not aligning with things that are core Leonard. Like they're his friends. He's big on his friends. He's a computer nerd, so he likes doing what he's doing. And she's kind of like, But there
all right.
We're seeing a lot of other things.
I know for sure I'm gonna forget to mention this in the next episode, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of spoiler, but it's not that much of a spoiler.
Small spoiler.
She does lean into his interests because she does role play a little bit.
Oh shit! I love role playing.
Yeah, so she does find interest. So in this, I don't think you should really fault her for this. Because she had the expectation of them spending some one-on-one time together, but he was, in a sense, blowing her off right in front of her face.
That is frustrating too, yeah. And that's interesting too, because depending on the perspective, somebody could say oh, she's not interested in what I have, but at the same time, another perspective is he's blowing me off. That makes total sense. And Penny would get pissed off about that too. I can guarantee that Penny would not drop everything she's doing to drive out and help them every single night of the week. So it's just a fine look for Penny in that episode. So yeah, but I do agree on most things. Priya is the better match. I just know Penny does try, and I do love that about a character who strives to say, I don't get it, but I want to try. But I want to see the role playing now. Jeez, yeah.
Well, no spoilers, but we'll talk about that. Just remember that in 2 weeks.
BT Dub, Ren Fair's next week, so next weekend I'm going to be Ren Fairing up. I didn't.
Are you going to dress up?
No.
Or are you going to go as Spock, like Sheldon?
I should Spock it up. Although that has negative connotations now. I am reading a book about. Do you remember the two girls who got in trouble for stabbing their friend and blamed it on Slender Man?
That's right. Well, you're not going to stab anyone, are you?
I don't plan on it, but the girl
Is this the rumor or the engagement that I need to tell somebody about?
And I'm also starting a garden. Good night, Rob.
Hello, 911.
My acquaintance. He's not even in my 150, I tell you what.
He was 149 and
He's
now
one
he's like 159.
59. He just went down, right? One of the girls like always pretended to be Spock, and like that's really ingrained in the story in the book I'm reading about her. I'm like, maybe pretending to be Spock isn't such a great thing after all. I don't know.
Yeah, don't do it. Okay, I take it back.
Don't do
Don't do
it.
it.
But I did. I didn't get a costume, but I got a lot of like one of the things is you get trinkets, especially at the campsites, and you put these trinkets out, and you go to each campsite and you get one trinket, so you like build up all these trinkets of all the people you meet. And so I got little trinkets. They're little genie lamps,
Oh,
and so people
cool.
can get one and pick one up, and then they have to meet me, and I become 150 on their list. That's what it is.
Boom. It's the long game.
It's a long game. Infiltrate with my trinkets. So, anyways, I do love role playing, and I'm excited
Nah.
now.
Well, now to distract Raj, she basically, well, she straight up tells Raj the rumor of Amy and Sheldon that they had sex. And I just love Raj's reaction. I was like, shut your ass.
My favorite line from the episode: "Shut your ass! Shut your ass!"
Well, now and we get another callback to the smelly pooper that even Raj is using it.
Finally got laid.
Yeah.
So that meme is still going on. The smelly pooper meme.
Yep. Well, now they're at the apartment, and Leonard comes home and talks to Sheldon, hinting that he knows the rumor. And he says that Amy has had a glow these last few days. What's been going on? And Sheldon tries to play coy to kind of like fish it out. He's like, oh, do you mean that she's been tending to an herb garden in the sunlight without a hat or sunblock? Nope. And then Sheldon just says, yeah, I guess we'll never know. As my mother would say, the Asians are an inscrutable folk, which I didn't really get why he threw that in there.
Or why his mom would say that. Like there's
I need some context on that.
Yeah. Like,
Because we are scrutable. How dare you?
I screwed all the time. I've seen Rob scroot.
I am scrooting right now. Well, then Leonard leaves, and Amy was on the computer listening the whole time, and they notice how fast the information has spread. And now we jump to the next scene, and they're all having dinner. They're all still at the apartment, and they're having dinner. Amy escapes to talk to Sheldon, and she says that the meme has reached full penetration, which was a happy accidental pun.
Pun intended. Happy accident.
Yeah, so basically everybody in the group knows, and it was under 24 hours. But it's a small group, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, there's like only half of them knew when she told. Yeah,
Yeah, and then she kind of makes a joke about a blow by blow, and Sheldon doesn't get it.
I don't get that either. Like, it sounds stupid.
I think it's more of like I think it was a joke on blowjobs.
That's what I was thinking, but like that one's a stretch.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I like the full penetration more. But
well, Amy says that she had to describe his lovemaking, which she put as aloof but effective. Mm-hmm. And Sheldon just such an ego. Is like, oh, I'm gonna be a chick magnet. Oh. And then Howard stops everything that's happening in the group because he decides to propose. And of course, everybody knows what's about to happen. And they're like, are you sure you want to do this now? But he just kind of dives in. Raj, kind of being the asshole, is kind of just like eggs him on, like, no, like, let's see how the cards fall.
You know, they didn't build it up much, so I have to think that it's not going to last. But all things considered, I think that would be romantic to say, I am among the people who I am closest to, and I am loved. This is what I want to say. Will you marry me? I have no problem with it. It seems super simple, but I still think there is a whole bunch of romance there. So,
yeah.
Good job, Howard.
Yes. And he was actually starting to have like a very heartfelt speech, and then she stops him. And then all of us are at the edge of our seat. And she says yes. The biggest shocker of the night. And Amy and Sheldon are confused. Like, I don't really understand what happened. We thought that she was going to break up, so it doesn't make sense that she would say yes. But you know what? Perhaps the talk of my sexual prowess renewed her faith in love. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's what did it.
And Amy and Sheldon move forward with the mimic theory, and they try to create a new one, a new rumor. So they go over. Amy goes over to Penny's, and she says, "I just stopped by to tell you know that I'm getting orthotics. Also, I'm carrying Sheldon's baby. Mum's the word."
Mum's the word.
And Leonard is walking up the stairs, and it's a little telling. I didn't think about this until now. It's a little telling that that Penny is still into Leonard because he was the first person that she texted.
You know, he's probably the most impacted, but at the same time that they are texting that close, especially after Priya said, "Don't hang out with her."
Yeah.
That says a lot. And yeah.
And Amy just wants to know if there's anything on there about orthotics.
Anything about orthotics.
And that's the end of the episode.
And now that you've complained so much about long vanity cards, have fun.
Redemption. Chuck Lorre production number 338. My lawyer ate my vanity card.
Thank you, Chuck, on Rob's behalf. He appreciates the short ones.
I just somehow I know the next one I get is going to be a long one.
It's going to be like a 2-pager. It just like continues over.
I'm never that lucky. It's karma. All right, let's count up some points.
All right. Oh, that was a fun episode.
Yeah, you had some really good IQ points I didn't even think about.
Thank you.
I say this all the time and I'll keep saying it, but Ryan, you complete me.
You complete me, Rob. You screwed me.
Damn, I just lost count. I'm gonna screw you hard.
Screw you hard. All right, so I'm at 128, not like Sheldon, 123 like Sheldon total. You know, I'm going to have to add up just season 4, but we have gone up more. We were more like Sheldon at one point, but the last couple episodes, there's been a couple more points where he's been kind of a bully, and I feel like that's kind of come out with Amy, and that might be where I'm getting it, but, you know, I stand by the flossing closer to the sink and sitting down to pee, where it's clear he stands to pee. Not like Sheldon.
Yeah. Well, any other last minute things?
That's
before
all I
we
got.
wrap this up.
How many IQ points we got?
We are at 5.
5.
5 IQ points, and they're very good ones too. I enjoyed this one.
Me too.
All
not
right.
as much, maybe not as much as the Texas chili. That one comes back to me almost daily.
Yeah,
I love that
like,
one.
We definitely have our favorite IQ points, but
they were food related, and this is a food cast at its heart.
The K-Mart one was a really good catch. Yeah.
And the fact is that you live in Pennsylvania now, so you know the struggle. If you had lived in Washington, you'd be like, I don't know what a private owned liquor store is, but goddamn,
so weird. Like, I can go to a liquor store and buy up the entire store if I wanted to, but if I go to a grocery store, I have these limitations. You can only buy like 2 6-packs or whatever it is. It was like 124 pack and a 16 and a 6-pack. It's like, who created this law? It's like, you think Pennsylvania would be a lot more relaxed for, especially like, you know, it being a swing state and everything like that. It's like, you know, everybody loves alcohol. Liberals love it because, you know, we like to have fun. And conservatives love it because why the fuck not? That's what we do.
Everybody loves it. It's our common ground.
Yeah, so it's just so weird how much state control it has. And that was like the biggest kick in the ass because like during COVID, it was not, alcohol sales were not considered an essential product, which was really killer because, like, dude, we're home 24/7, and you don't want us to like, of course,
that's how we
it's an
get by,
essential
guys.
How else are we going to survive this? I want to save my marriage. We need to drink to be around each other.
Drink the. And I want you to go out and like start asking people about bottle shops because they're gonna know them, and they're gonna be like, oh, you go to like the seediest part of the city. There's gonna be a little gas station. You're gonna drive into it. And they're gonna hook you up.
Yeah, I have to ask some coworkers about this.
And apparently too that I never did this, but somebody told me like if you needed cardboard boxes, they could hook you up on those too because they had bottles and they had all the leftover cardboard boxes that they would just give away. Somebody told me like if you were moving, that was the first stop, was a bottle shop.
Oh man, why'd those go away? I'm gonna have to look into this. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for enduring us just as people.
Thank you.
Flaws and everything. Follow us on YouTube and shoot us an email at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. We love the emails. We love the engagement. And we will see you next time when we discuss Season 4, Episode 21, The Agreement Dissection.
Just again, thank you, Christopher, for the email. We appreciate it, and see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Alex Kroll. Thanks for listening. The seed is planted, and now we must germinate.